Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another Commercial Trucking Chronicles. I'm your boy Swizzy. I'm back with another video. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for returning back to the page. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your, hitting the like button. And then, please do me a favor, hit the like button. A lot of people that watch, they're not subscribed, and that's okay. But I would appreciate if you did subscribe and support the channel. So let's get into the discussion. All right. Of course, it has to do with trucking, but you can't talk about trucking without talking about tariffs. I was having a conversation the other day with a guy at the truck stop, and he subscribed. I don't remember your name. He's from Jacksonville. But shout out to you for subscribing and for some of the from some of the time that, just for your time while we were talking. I appreciate it, because everybody has, time is money. Everybody's, we can't feel like our time is invaluable while we're here. Every moment, every day we, breathe breath, and that's a valuable time, in your life, being able to just have, breath in your lungs. And then also to be out here, being a good example in the community, in your family, or whatever it is, It makes a difference, of course. The guy, we were talking about, different things within our families, where we came from and what we're doing today, how our lives have changed. His life's changed, my life, with trucking, and, being able, just having to be able to provide for the family, you know what I'm saying? And I don't even put anyone's business out there. So I won't say much about the gentleman other than the fact that he's a man, like myself, family man that takes care of, what he's got to do, his responsibilities. He's out there on the road, he's trucking, and he's taking care of home. He's got some children that he's proud of, and and that's what it counts. It counts, And so when we start thinking about these tariffs and stuff, what I'm saying, a lot of us, our homes and our lives and stuff that we've created and built or worked hard for over these years. You think all these billionaires and stuff like that own these big companies and stuff, they don't care. You can go as far as saying politicians, from, who got it good is sitting in office, making these voting against some of the stuff that's directly affecting, everyday people, like the gentleman I was talking about, and like myself, and like you, and like you and me, we're just all the same. We're regular, average people that are working hard. Some of us are, fortunate that we had, the background and the type of homes that we could come from and say, hey man, I was proud of my upbringing. And there's a lot of us that we don't have that much to look back and say that we're so proud of, as far as our upbringing. But if we look at our life today, what I'm saying, and everything and changes that we've made, and all the effort that we have put into, everything we built, our families, our homes, our lifestyles and stuff, we take a lot of pride in that, and, with the situation with these tariffs, everything that we work hard for, all of us, it's like people are losing everything and stuff like that, livelihood just dried up, like this is where I, had gainful employment for so many years, and now it's just closed down. It's no longer here, and I'm threatened with losing everything. And so we were talking about the trucking industry and the kind of trucking that we were into, that we were not in the line of fire. You know what I'm saying? Like he does stuff he pulling for an American product, American-made product to customers here in America, not abroad. If they they got their customers here and probably abroad. So we still are importing or exporting. Actually, we do exports. I don't know. I ain't seen too many shipping stuff. I ain't on the port, so I don't. They say they're empty. So but we were talking about that, and I was telling you, I'm moving this dirt around. You know what I'm saying? We hauling this stuff here. These trucks, these plants, it's like concrete trucks and stuff. Ain't nothing that's really affecting this unless I just don't see it happen. Just put it that way. All right. Not on a scale where these guys are shutting down, closing up their doors, and they're not in business anymore. So because the infrastructure here in this country, we're gonna have to always keep building. So building materials and certain stuff like that, it gets affected depending on where you get your. He pulls glass. That's building materials, but it's made in America, right? So it's something to see how it's affecting the trucking industry so fast. A lot of jobs, a lot of trucks, everybody's. I don't say everybody, but there's a whole lot of guys out there right now. A lot of you truck drivers right now. You're possibly gonna be, sooner than you might think. You're possibly gonna be, hit with the harsh reality that the company's downsizing, if not going out of business or something crazy, laid off or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if all of this stuff is supposed to be going to be for short-term pain while it gives us long-term gain, there's going to be that short-term where industries are going to dry up. And we know we go through that, and it's kind of almost like some of the accounts are seasonal. So the mega carriers or the bigger carriers have to have other accounts to be able to, during the down time, move some product. So that's going to get sticky because then there's going to be a lot of competition. I'm guessing. I don't know. But when I was saying, we were just talking. He was a good dude. We were just talking about how some guys can transition because this is a nice, pretty truck here. That's something like, dang it. That boy got it over. But that's a nice truck. So a lot of, seasons like now just picking up so much. It's just picking up so much that, these guys are growing. They're growing while other companies are folding and they're downsizing. There's just a big boom in a lot of places because if you think about it, come on, all right, I'm gonna put you up on some game with this industry, with these trucks, right? You get into the right industry, you're gonna do very, very, very well. You'll grow because these big asset managers, right? These big elite hedge fund. Oh, let me see. I don't want to say hedge funds. Well, the people that manage in like your 401ks and those big, giant management companies that are handling I guess they're asset managers, right? They are. They handle banks, properties, and all this other stuff. They're buying up real estate, land, and developing it, the whole real estate market. And doing all of this, right? Companies, contractors, supply houses, they're seeing overwhelming um, purchase orders for building materials. Um, like we constantly are running out of the stock. What's they we pull we stock. We do a lot of stock because the plant runs out of it so fast because the demand. So we moving like crazy. We're moving in stock, and then once they whip up and make the orders, we're hauling it to the job site so they can pave it. And a lot of these are developments that are being built. Who do you think are the people that own all that stuff? It's the asset managers. That's what they're doing. They're the ones that are buying up the boom in the real estate, right? And it's crazy because you don't see a house on either Zillow or whatever. None of these places for long. Once they're on the market, it's usually under contract because they're buying all of these properties. They have the money to buy them, so the outrageous prices. It's hard for a regular person that's a homeowner to become a homeowner these days. It's very hard because of where the prices of the money is, and then plus, a lot of people aren't there. They don't have the bad credit scores. They just don't have the money, right, for the down payments. Or there's a lot of programs with down payment assistance, but I guess there's a bunch of all this stipulating. I'm kind of going through this process myself right now. I can go back and forth with these people for a couple more months, and I'm just saying, hey, man, I still don't see nothing that's affordable for me, And if there is something that I see, before you know it's under contract, because it's bought up, they're buying all the real estate. They're buying all of the properties. Big developers, big real estate investors. And where do they get their money? Big real estate developers. The developers. You ever heard? They go out there, buy land, they start putting up these houses all over the place. Like, oh, we're gonna build 50 of them over here, put a pool and everything over here. And if they keep doing that, I'm gonna keep on getting paid because I gotta bring the material to people. So that's the good part about that. You know what I'm saying? That's the good part about that. There's not gonna be. And then when they decide to want to stop. Or when they decide to want to, okay, we done spent enough, now let's try to sell these houses or rent them all out. I'll be off somewhere else working, as long as I'm still in this truck, in this industry, I'll be off somewhere else on a construction site that probably won't be, maybe it's real estate or maybe it's just construction. It don't have to be, or it could be commercial, industrial. It could be a warehouse, a plant that they're doing. The repair of some road. And when you think about these type of industries and this line of work, versus going and picking up something that's got to be imported, whereas right now there's a whole war going on with that, and it's causing everything to get, everything is just looking so down and like falling all apart. It's doom and gloom. You got a whole other industry over here that just can't keep up with the demand, and it's blown up. These guys flying new trucks left and right? I bet you the bank will say, "What do you do? Oh, you want to borrow some money? Oh, that's what you do? Yeah. You know why? Because there's plans of building for the next 100-something years, right? You're gonna keep building. They're going to keep on putting up that. They got to change out the drains and the septics and the tanks and the systems and all these. They got to keep putting that. The more ground they break, the more dirt they're going to need to move. Simple. That's a no-brainer. That's like saying, oh, well, you're rolling the dice if you buy a snowplow, right? In some places. And then in other places, if you don't have a snowplow, you're insane, right? You're insane. And when it does snow and you ain't got no snowplow, you're gonna get stuck. Nobody's gonna come and help you unless you got money. And if you got a plow, you're guaranteed to make money. It's just like if you got a cement truck, right? That cement truck is gonna make you some money every year, regardless. So some things aren't gonna stop. And you're in with the right people, that you're in the right rooms and stuff, right? And shout out, like I said, to that brother, man, that I talked to, truck driver. He's out of Jacksonville, Florida. Shout out, I got family out there. But he got his stuff together. He's in with the right people, man, and that's good for him. You know what I'm saying? And his family. But I don't want to take away from anything that anybody's doing. Just I want to hope that you're thinking about the long-term effects and some of the long-term damages and some long-term effects, long-term damages. You gotta weigh it out, man. You gotta look at some things. Some guys are just they don't make wise decisions and stuff. When they get into some things. And I'm one of them. I ain't saying I've made all the smart choices in my life and stuff. But, getting in trucking was a wise decision. But I think when I went and I purchased my trucks, I probably should have bought, well, I got day cabs, so yeah, I should have bought the sleepers. But then, I was looking for a particular type of truck. You know what I'm saying? Those sleeper day cabs that are single axle was what I was trying. I almost had one. I almost got it. Had a Sterling engine. It was really nice too, man. And I looked at it. I don't know. I kept going back and forth with the person that was selling it versus and this is my first purchase. I went to a used dealership where they had trucks. Fleet, it was a truck dealership. They had used. They didn't have any used trucks. So I felt a little bit more comfortable buying from them and then buying from somebody that they had sort of the truck I wanted. It was a sleeper, right? It was nice and everything with the single axle, not the twin screw, dual tandems, and but the one I bought, the first truck that I bought had single axle and it was a day cab. It didn't have the sleeper, and so I was like, well, I'll get the sleeper after I make some money with this. And I probably should have just kept looking, at that time. Because the prices back then were pretty decent. And then I'm probably, instead of, saying, oh, I can't find a single axle sleeper, let me just go ahead and get the sleeper with the twin screw. That would have that'd have been my best bet. That would have. My man told me after when I bought mine, he said, you should have got this instead of getting that. You'd rather have it than need it and not have it. You know what I'm saying? Rather have it than not have it, and and you need it, and you don't have it, so you rather have it. So he was right. So, hey, you live and you learn. But again, I wanted to share that with you. I appreciate you, watching this video. I'm not gonna hold you anymore. So, do me a favor, leave a comment about what type of trucking, that you are doing. If you're thinking about switching or transitioning into something else, comment below and like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.